Good afternoon. Welcome to your weekly Design Master training. My name is David Robison, and today we will be looking at master groups and labels in Design Master Electrical. For everyone attending the training live, you can ask questions using the chat box in the Blizz interface. Anyone viewing this presentation later can contact us by email at support@designmaster.biz or by calling 866-516-9497. So today we are looking at master groups and labels in Design Master Electrical. So the idea with these groups and labels is that you can set up information in a master schedule so that when you start a project or are working on a project, you have information that can be imported to it. So it's a way to set up some settings ahead of time for use in later projects. If we go to the light fixture section, for example, we have our standard light fixture project schedule, and that's the list of lights in your project that you can insert. We also have the light fixture master schedule, and so this is the list of light fixtures that you can import and use in other projects. Go ahead and run the light fixture master schedule command here. And the list of groups, so the groups are all at the top of these schedule dialog boxes. So we have our current group listed here with the option to select a different group. If we click select group, it will show us all of the groups that we have for master schedules. So each of those groups has a separate set of light fixtures in it, and each group also has a separate set of labels associated with it. So you can actually have a different light fixture schedule or receptacle schedule inserted on your drawing, different settings based upon the group that's being used. Those settings are set using the Edit Group Settings button. If we click Edit Group Settings, here's where we can set notes. So each group, you could have a different set of notes for it. You can also, clicking one more button, specify the columns that are going to show up in the schedule. You'll notice that there is a default schedule settings group. That is a special group that we create by default for you that comes in the out-of-the-box customization. This is the settings that are going to be used if you're just starting a project and you want to have your default setting for your schedule, but there's not necessarily anything in the group. So that's just the default group we have created there for you. Different people use different groups for different purposes. You could create different groups for different lighting manufacturers. You could have different groups for different types of projects. You could have a bank project, and then you could have your restaurant project, and you could also have your general project. So here we've got our default schedule settings, which is just going to be what's going to use to create the schedule in the project. We've got a general schedule group. I'll go ahead and create a new group. We'll call this group 3, and we'll create another group, group 4, just so that we have a couple of groups here in the light fixture project, or light fixture master schedule. And then for each of those, we can have different settings. So for the group 3, I'm going to go ahead and come in here, and I'm going to set a note that's called group 3, just so that when we import it, we can see where that shows up. And we can modify the columns that are going to be used in the schedule when we insert it on the drawing. I'll just change this one to only have a couple different columns selected so you can see that that gets imported when we start the project. I'll do something similar here with group 4 as well. And we'll take off these top columns. We'll leave the call out on there. When you select a group in this dialog here and click OK, it's going to make that group active, and now you can add light fixtures to that group that are going to be used either to import at the start of a project or you can import during the course of the project. You can add individual items just using the new command. So I'll do new. This is group 3 fixture A, and we'll do group 3 fixture B, and we'll create another one, group 3 fixture C. So now in this group we have a couple different light fixtures defined. And then you can go through your standard definitions of the light fixtures at this point. You could choose a new block for them. You can specify different loads, give them descriptions, all the normal scheduling information. If I select another group, if I go to group 4, you'll see that we now have no light fixtures defined because there's no light fixtures in this group. So I could create a group 4 fixture A. And so now in group 4 we have a light fixture defined. If you ever end up with a light fixture or anything in a group where it doesn't belong, we have the move and copy commands. The move will take this fixture to another group, and the copy will make a copy of it in the other group, depending on what you want to do. So if I run the move command, I can move it over here to this general group. When you do that, it actually switches the current group as well. So now we're looking at the general group. I've got that same light fixture called up. But now we're looking at other light fixtures in that general group. I can also copy it to a different group. I'll copy it over here to group 4. And you do need to give it a different name because you need separate names in each of the groups. I'll call it fixture B. So make the copy, give it the new name, change the group as well. So here in group 4, we now have just that one copy. If I go back to the general group, we have the other fixture still left there. You can also import from a project schedule. So if you've done a project and you have a list of light fixtures that you'd like to reuse, you can run the import from light fixture project schedule. If you're in a project, it'll pull up that folder automatically. You can also go browse to a folder where you have a project. I'll go ahead and import into my general group everything. So you run that command, and then you have an option for importing the entire group or specific items. And you can choose actually which group you're importing from. So there's a couple different options. You can either create new records or update the current records in the schedule. I'll go ahead and import everything here. Gives you an option if you want to delete everything, if you want to just kind of clear out a group and redefine it. I'm going to say no to keep that GA4 in there. It'll import everything, tell you it was done. And so now in the general group, I've got some new options for light fixtures defined. So this is all happening in the master schedule, in the master database. So these light fixtures are kind of available for any projects can pull in these light fixtures. So when we go to the light fixture project schedule, we can then import from the master schedule if we want to. And you have the option, it works similar to how we were importing from the project to the master. You can import a whole group, everything from the group. You can import a single one. If you import a single one, that's where these two options come into play. You have the option to create a new record or overwrite the existing one. So if we want to take this A call out that's currently active here and redefine it to match this other one, we could do that. We could also create a new record. I'll create a new one, and it'll create a new record in this group in the light fixture project schedule based upon what's defined in the master there. I'm going to start a new project now. So I'm going to create a new drawing. I will save this drawing. I'm going to put it on my desktop, create a new folder, weekly training, and we'll just save this drawing there. So we've got a new drawing in a new folder. And when we start a project, here you have options for groups to import. The default general settings ones are a little special. That if you import those, we'll actually rename them to general when they get created. So I'll just go ahead and do that. So I've got just the default schedule settings defined for light fixtures. So we'll import just that one group. I click OK. It's going to create the database for us. And for the light fixture project schedule, you'll see that we have a single group. We called it general, so we kind of took that name, and since that's the one special name we have in the software, we renamed it to general because that's a slightly better name for working within your project. And then we imported a couple of light fixtures that were defined in that group as well. Alternatively, I'm going to create another new drawing, and we can try importing some of those other groups. So we'll create a new drawing in a new folder, and we'll start another project. So now, rather than importing that default schedule settings, we can select Group 3. We could also select Group 4. If you hold down Control, and you can select additional groups, so you can actually import multiple. So I'll import Groups 3 and 4. Click OK. It'll take a moment to create the database, copy all that information over. Now when we look at the light fixture project schedule, we have two groups that were imported, Group 3 and Group 4. And the settings were also imported at the same time. So Group 3 has the Group 3 note. The columns for the schedule were imported also based upon that group, so it has just these couple columns at the top. In the same way, if you look at Group 4, it has the Group 4 note, and the columns down toward the bottom were the ones that we left checked, so those were what got imported. And now if we actually insert that schedule on the drawing, you'll see that it has the different columns defined there. So if we run the Insert Light Fixture Project Schedule, select Group 3, we're going to leave that checked so that it'll show the fixtures because we don't have anything defined. So it's got just those couple columns and that group label for us down at the bottom. And then Group 4, if we insert that schedule, has a different looking schedule. So this is how you can define different light fixture schedules. We have the receptacle schedule, different receptacle schedules as well, based upon the different groups you have in your project, and you can save those definitions in the master. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. So you can definitely have multiple groups with multiple definitions. Most commonly, people don't go to this level of detail for the different schedules. More commonly, what people are doing is they're modifying just the default schedule settings and just using that and customizing the schedule here. So if you have a common schedule that you use across all of your projects, they're always the same. You always want to have the same default settings. You just change the default schedule settings, and then all of your new projects will have that defined for them. So thank you for attending the weekly training, Design Master training today. If you do have any questions, you can send us an email at support@designmaster.biz or give us a call at 866-516-9497. Thanks, and we will see you next week.